Good morning, Miami. Welcome to another podcast of Wonder Women. Today, I have the honor to introduce you to Josie Ashton. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, Ashton.
Ashton. She has written this wonderful book called Healing His Bride. The story that you're going to hear today is moving, and I cannot even express to you how of a beautiful story it is. It started with a tragedy, but what she is doing is changing millions of women's lives. It's a movement. So let's get started. So,
Hi.
Josie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
I'm
having
a little
me.
bit nervous because I want to get as much information to our community regarding the beautiful thing you're doing.
Thank you.
So your story, let's start with the run, right?
Right.
Your story started in 1999.
Yes.
You were at home watching the news.
Yeah.
And someone comes on the show, on the news, a tragedy. A bride lost her life.
Yes.
Through domestic violence in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
And the young lady's name was Gladys
Ricard.
Ricard.
Yeah. She was Dominican, but her name is Gladis Ricard, and everybody in the community was talking about her when she was murdered.
Yes. And it was wearing her beautiful wedding dress.
Yes.
Her big day, her whole family around her.
Yes.
And her ex-boyfriend comes in and takes her life.
Correct.
What sparked that moment in you?
You know, when I watch the news, obviously when you're watching CNN or MSNBC or even Univision or Telemundo, you're watching the news. You're expecting to see something that is not necessarily pleasant. But when I saw her case, I was home. It was a Sunday night. I'm getting ready for bed. And I was just taken aback by it.
You were flipping the channel, and it was in every channel.
It was on every channel, English and Spanish, and I was a little overwhelmed by the news. I didn't understand why. I was already in my second marriage, and I had struggled with domestic violence in my life as a teenager, also with my mother and my stepfather. But at that moment, I was living my best life. I worked for the DA's office in Miami, and I was doing very well professionally. I had 2 daughters, but her case just stopped me in my tracks, and I had to really take a moment to find out what was going on in my body when I heard about her murder.
Let's talk about a little bit of that moment. I know you're close to the family.
I am now.
Yes. She was preparing for her beautiful wedding, and it was always her dream. Very independent woman.
Yes.
Came from Dominican Republic very young. She brought her son, did her own career, bought her own house, met this gentleman, falls in love, and she was in an abusive relationship, and nobody knew or expected that it was going on, correct?
That is correct. And I think that's the sad part, right? That sometimes we see cases like this, and maybe, we want to do that Monday morning quarterbacking, and we want to say, well, maybe this could have been avoided, and maybe it could have. The bottom line is that it happened. And so what can we learn from her story to protect ourselves, to protect our daughters, to protect our sons? Yes. Because her fiance was waiting for her at the church, and he has never been the same. Her son was with her in the living room.
Which I think he was going to walk her, right? Down the aisle.
He was going to walk her down the aisle. So he was a young boy, a young man in college at that time. He was like 19 years old. He had already gotten a scholarship, a basketball scholarship. So he was a great athlete, a great student. And so it's not just a woman's life that was destroyed. There were many lives, women, men, children. So I think that's the part that we need to understand, that these tragedies don't just transform one person or one family. It transforms a community and it transforms a society.
Yes. He was driving by. Everybody was going into their limo. She was taking her last pictures. He walks in, pulls out a gun,
yes,
and kills her immediately, 5 shots.
Yes.
And her brother tried to stop him because if not, he would have killed more people, because the house was full of the maid of honors, the bridesmaids.
Yes.
And unheard of tragedy. No one would have ever expected at that moment that could have happened.
Nobody. He was very well respected in the community. He has several nonprofits. And so everybody looked at him as this hero in the community.
And they looked at him as a perfect couple, too.
They looked at him as a perfect couple, except that he didn't want to marry her. And she wanted to marry and have children. She wanted to live a life with a husband and start rebuilding her life. Like many of us, she came to this country with a lot of dreams.
Yes.
She did everything right. She went to college, became an accountant,
I know,
met somebody amazing.
Yes.
And he
and
didn't
wanted to
want
marry her.
And somebody that wanted to marry her. As
in
soon
6
as they
months.
met. Yeah.
6 months.
As soon as they met. So it was very, very ordained,
And
you
he
know.
said to her, I want to give you everything you want.
Yeah.
If you want the big wedding, I'm going to give you your big wedding.
And she has studied that for so many years because she really wanted that. It's like it was her thing.
Yes.
And so to see this man walk in the house and rob us, and I say us, even though I didn't know the family then, but rob her, and as a result, rob the world from this beautiful marriage and union. Not only was it selfish, it was diabolic almost. You know, it was very evil because he waited until the day of the wedding when she was there getting ready to get into her Rolls Royce and everybody else was going to go in the, you know, was going to go in the limo. And instead she was taken out in a, you know, medical examiner's van. Not just horrific.
Horrific. No other word for it.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Horrific.
Then I learned regarding the case. It went to court. It was a really difficult case because, how do you say it? The prosecutor?
Yes.
Was trying to make him seem like a genuine human, correct?
Right. So actually the defense attorney.
The defense attorney, thank you.
Yes, the defense attorney. And I think that's another part where I was moved by it. I worked at the DA's office, at the state attorney's office here in Miami.
Did you follow the case?
I did follow the case because I happened to work as a victim advocate and a paralegal. So I was working with the state attorney's office here in Miami, as well as the City of Miami Police Department. We were responding to crime scenes. We have some amazing programs here in Miami-Dade under Catherine Fernandez-Rondon. And so we don't wait for the victims to come to us. We actually go to them the day of the crime so we can take the statements, the pictures, and the whole thing. So I was doing that for several years. And so when I heard about her case, I was just blown away. And I reached out to the DA's office in Jersey because I was thinking about doing this movement or starting this movement, and I didn't want to jeopardize the case. So the prosecutor said, look, we charge him with first-degree murder, but we think it's going to come back as manslaughter, which is a lower crime. This is first-degree murder, and the manslaughter is right here. First-degree murder, you get life, 30 years to life. Manslaughter, you can get out in 10 years. And I had a big problem with that because what kind of message are we sending society? Absolutely. That, oops, if you get too upset because she's going to marry somebody else, you can kill her? Absolutely not. Absolutely. That's not the case. So that was my main concern, that we, back then in 1999 and 2000, when the case was being set for trial, the community was already judging her. The community was already blaming her. Right. The community was saying that she was a loose woman, that she was with both of them at the same time, which she wasn't. But even if she was, she still didn't deserve to die. But in the trial, it came out that she was not with him, that he knew very well that she was going to marry.
And what the family was going through, listening to them saying all this negative things about their sister, which was, and their mother, which was not true. Yeah. And they even brought videos out. Oh, they were still together. And they were not. And when you look at the video, she was trying to get away from him. And he was hovering over her.
Yeah. He gave her this bear hug when she was entering the supermarket the night before. And people were saying that they had spent the night together, which it wasn't true. He was stalking her. And during the trial, all of this came out.
And there was a call, too.
There was a call to 911. So they played the tape. I mean, this guy was... he was really something, and he obviously didn't want to marry her because he had other women that he was catering to and having relationship with. And that's why she ended the relationship. It's like, look, you're not serious. You're using me. And so, you know, it became one of those situations of power and control. But going back to the family, yes, there's a lot of shame. And I think a lot of times when we're in violent relationships, we don't talk about it because we're ashamed. It's almost like, well, I picked that person. Well, you may have fallen in love with somebody, but you did not fall in love with the violence, right? So part of what I want to teach our communities these days is that you are not to blame for the violence, and you should not be ashamed of yourself. It is important that we get this out in the open so we can stop tragedies, not only towards ourselves, the person that is in the relationship, but our children, our community, our parents, our brothers. This happens that a lot of times that happens
more often than we ever imagined, because even there was one, the sister said, I never even imagined what she was going through. She kept silent for so many years.
She did.
And I think a lot of cases are like that.
Yes.
You don't even suspect. And then the case ended. He gets life in prison.
Correct.
Thank God.
Yes.
The family prevailed.
Yes.
To clear their sister daughter mother's name.
Yes.
And but it provoked the community something. It was a movement. But the movement started with you here in Miami, in Bayside.
Yes.
running.
So,
with a
wedding dress.
Her wedding dress.
So yes, in October of 2000 at Bayside, we had our 5K, which is for a domestic violence shelter here, Safe Space Foundation. And I did do that run in my wedding gown. It was the first time I put on my wedding gown to do it. And I wanted to give the community something as shocking as the murder.
And you did.
Because it was her wedding, the entire murder got caught on tape. And they kept playing that over and over, this beautiful bride, and then there's blood all over the place.
Yes, she did.
And so, I figured since I work in the field, I was just being tormented. I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. So I decided to put on my wedding gown. I said, well, let's give them something.
You surprised everybody.
I did. I surprised myself. I mean, God gave me this vision, and it wasn't easy to say yes. But I said, okay, well, let me see what God it is that he's telling me to do. So I put on my wedding gown, and it was pretty impactful. And, some of my coworkers were in tears. Some of the detectives came to me afterwards. So I'm like, okay, this changes things. I don't have to even open my mouth. Just the fact that I have my wedding gown on, and I can
running.
Yes. And explain that it's in her honor. That's it. It's a powerful symbol, in our communities.
It's a very powerful symbol.
In our communities, we talk about the bride. In my faith, we talk about the bride of Christ. So for me, it's something that is sacred. So what he did that day, he didn't just do it to the Ricard family. He did it to our faith. He did it to our world. He did it to our people. And I needed to do something as radical.
And what you did is open a very important conversation within the Latin community.
Yes, in the church.
And in the church, but overall, everybody, by you running with that dress, it was a moment of conversation.
Yes.
About that domestic violence is unacceptable.
It is, yes.
It's unacceptable. And what you did was provoked a march of women in New Jersey.
Yes.
And it went all around. Even Salma Hayek did the march in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
So tell me, how does that feel when that all started? How did it go about?
So the original plan was to walk from the murder scene to the church where she was to be married, which we did. She lived in Jersey, but she was going to be married in Flushing, New York. And this was part of a community of Washington Heights, which is in New York, in between Jersey and New York. So we did that. And then the plan was for me to continue walking down and staying in domestic violence shelters as I walked 1,300 miles down the coast from New York to Miami. Well, that was scheduled for September 26th of 2001. And if you remember what happened September 11th of 2001, it changed the world. So in order for me to do that, I lost everybody that was supporting me to be with me on the road. So what I did was I chose to use my car. I drove from city to city, stayed in shelters with survivors. Some of them walked with me, and they were very inspired by the case. And I was very fed. I was fed emotionally and physically, of course. So it was even more powerful than it would have been. And even then, such a tragic thing happened, the media was still very interested in following the story. So September 11 happened. I started the walk September 26 in New York. And the trial started October 2nd. So I actually walked, and this was all not even planned, because when September happened, September 11, I thought the trial was going to be postponed. Like, there's no way that I was thinking about the criminal trial taking place. But as I was walking, the trial was taking place. And so it was pretty powerful. Yes, he was found guilty, first-degree murder, guilty as charged. And so I finished my walk, 1,300 miles, Florida International University, which is where I went to school. They were one of the sponsors. They helped me, Alpha Phi Sigma, Criminal Justice Honor Society. But I think the powerful part was, and that I didn't expect, the Mexican actress, Salma Hayek, heard about the story. And yes, we met in Washington, D.C. with Marie Claire magazine, who did the whole story. And it was amazing. I mean, she really rose the movement to an international level just by showing up. And she was very, very generous with her presence. So that obviously gave us a lot of notoriety. But then we continue to do it. Every year in New York, we do it. We do it in Washington, D.C. We do it in...
Didn't you also walk from New Jersey to Miami as well?
Yeah, that's what I did. But but I will walk, I will drive into the cities, stay in the shelter, because we were in the middle of a war.
Yes.
Literally in the middle of a war. I mean, we're talking about less than 2 weeks since the incident happened that the walk started. So I had to, canceling was not an option.
I heard that you said that in one of the interviews.
The vision that I had, canceling, time was of the essence. That's what I heard in my head, in my heart. So when 9/11 happened, yeah, we were overwhelmed. Adrian and I, we were looking at each other, and
but you did it.
We did it. We did it anyway. I think, there has to be a level of commitment when you're getting ready to do something amazing, right? There has to be a level of commitment. Yes, it's going to take time. It's going to take money, but it's also going to take commitment. Just, okay, something huge happened. I get it. But what happened on 9/11 is what is happening in people's homes every single day. It's terrorist attack. It's domestic terrorist attack in the homes. There are children like me that are being raised, watching their mothers being beaten, watching their fathers being threatened, or their fathers being thrown hot water. I mean, like I've dealt with these cases. It's very sad.
There's a part of your book that you talk about all the cases that you've heard, and you were listening, and there was a time that you were feeling suffocated because you were like, when is this going to stop? But then it was also self-discovery for you as well of what you were going through, right?
Yes. So through my work, I think a lot of times we experience trauma that we don't deal with, right? Whether we see our mother being abused, or in my case, I was molested at a very young age. Nobody talked about it. They took me to the hospital. They did do that because when my grandmother saw my wounds, she was very upset. And so she took me to the hospital, but then that was it. We didn't talk about it because, again, the shame of it. And so then I came to this country at 11, and my stepfather was very violent towards my mom. My mom got involved in drugs. So I got to see all of that. And when I was a senior in high school, I chose my own abuser. I picked somebody that was abusive, that gave me drugs and continued to abuse me, just like my mother was being abused. So at one point, I had to break that cycle. And it was a school counselor that told me, you don't have to be like your mom. You can be different. And that changed my life. Those words changed my life because a lot of times we are not given permission to be different.
Yeah, as children, we want to mimic our parents.
Yes,
right.
Yes, because that's what we learn.
We look up to our parents,
right,
and stuff. But it's up to us to know what we want to be like our parents and what we don't want to be like our parents.
Right, and that was hard for me to decide because all I knew was domestic violence, drugs, and bonding my mother out of jail here in 14th Avenue, the Women Detention Center.
And there's a part in the book that you said, you keep putting this armor on, our makeup, we fix our hair, and we acting like we have everything under control. But really, you were falling apart inside. You were in pain, and you were trying to keep it in control for everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I was the professional. I went to courthouses with witnesses and victims. I married a lawyer at the time. Like, yeah, of course, I have to keep it together. But yes, even after I started the movement, my whole thing in life was, I am the advocate. I am the one that fight for others. But the wound that challenged me was having a tantrum. And I will often have tantrums towards myself. I will do things that were self-harming. Wow. And I think that's the part. And we tend to judge ourselves, right? I am a licensed mental health therapist today. Back then I wasn't. But still, it's like, even as a victim advocate, you want to pretend that these things don't happen to you, when in a lot of times we get into the business because those things happen to you, and we can relate. But, the more I learned and the more my body started kind of like snitching on me, because my body started snitching on me, because this trauma stays in your body and kind of, just flourish when you're an adult. They've done the study, and I talk about that in the book, the adverse childhood experiences. Those adverse childhood experiences that we go through can have an impact in the growth and development of your brain, as well as disorders, like health disorders. My skin complexion, it's actually an autoimmune disorder. I was born with the mutation, but it actually
provoked it.
Yeah, it kind of like impacted it. And in my 30s, this started happening where my complexion was changing.
I totally understand what you're saying, because when my mom passed away, I automatically went into menopause.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can at 47 be in menopause? And he's like, you're full menopausal. I'm like, I thought I was dying. I was like, I am dying right now. Do an MRI from my head all the way to my toe, because
that's what it feels like.
Right. And I can't concentrate. And it was full menopause. Yeah. And I realized it was mommy's death that caused me to, my body react that way. It was a form of my body reacting. So I understand how, emotional pain, trauma could cause so much physical diseases,
that trauma
or cause some other genetic component that you may have.
It precipitates a lot, and a lot of people don't know that, and we want to go through life like we have it all together, until, in my case, I collapsed, literally, physically, emotionally.
Which took so much courage, because you collapsed and you said, I need help.
Yeah.
And you literally went and looked for help immediately.
Not immediately, but yeah, I did. And I think what's even more impactful is that I went for treatment, and it was pretty scary when I got out of treatment. And this just happened 2023. I did 3 weeks inpatient. I did 3 months outpatient, intensive outpatient at that, for trauma. It wasn't for drugs or alcohol. It was for trauma. And the best gift I gave to myself was that. But this was a program that I did it through my insurance. It was called The Retreat, and they had an office here in Palm Beach and in Pennsylvania. I went to the one in Pennsylvania because I didn't want to run into clients here in South Florida. So I went to Pennsylvania. It was incredible. I came back. I continued doing therapy. I went to outpatient here in West Palm Beach. And a year and a half later, I was feeling strong and getting back to doing therapy. And I said, let me go to this company, because they did so much for me.
Right.
When I did the research, and I talk about this in the book, they had closed the company went bankrupt, and the CEO of the company committed suicide.
Oh my God.
And 3 days later, the chief of financial officer also committed suicide.
Oh my God.
The two top company owners that created an environment that saved my life and the life of many veterans and nurses that worked in the ER, first responders, that we collect trauma stories in our body, and it keeps, our body keeps the score, like the book says. They help so many people. And one financial incident, or maybe many of them, but the bottom line is that they ended their own life. And that just cemented in me the need to heal emotional wounds. I am not my job. I am not my parenting skills. I am not my performance as a wife or even as a paralegal or a therapist. I am a very unique individual created to help, but I can't help others if I don't help myself. I can't help others heal if I'm wounded and I'm literally bleeding on my clients. So when I read that story, it just cemented the importance of finishing the book and the importance of continue with this movement and to tell people that healing is really not optional if you want to have a good life.
So let's talk a little bit more about the book. What motivated you? I know there's so many experiences, and it's step by step regarding experiences that you've had. What was that? What gave you the courage to put this all on paper? Because my mom says when you put something on paper, it's forever.
It is forever. And like a friend of mine told me, it's like, boy, you really spill all the beans there, huh? you didn't leave anything out. I did leave quite a few things out, but I am very vulnerable in the book. I think that for me, as the movement went up and Salma Hayek came out, I was on CNN en Español, Sábado Gigante, El Show de Cristina.
You've been in every network.
I've been in
a lot of networks,
shows,
yeah.
But I didn't feel worthy. I had a tough time.
Oh my God, no way.
So, well, you asked the question. I don't think I've ever been asked this question, I'm pretty sure. So I was like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And I think that's why my body also kept rejecting. There was this very complex relationship that I had with myself and what those that are part of the movement and even the media had with me. And so I always felt like a fraud. I didn't feel good enough. And so I started writing the book because a lot of people are like, well, you should write a book. You should write a book. People always say that. You should write a book. You should write a book because you've done so much. And I'm like, I've done nothing, really. Gladys is the one that died and her family is the amazing, heroes.
You kept her voice alive.
But I do understand that I was obedient and I followed through with the vision to start the movement. I think what allowed me to... So I started writing the book, right, over a period of time, I would say 20 years, really. This is the 26th year since I started the walk. I probably started writing it 6 years into it, and it's been 20 years to publish. So it took me a long time, and the reason why is because I was not healed.
Got it.
I was not healed, and I was not going to write a book about things that look pretty on paper. If I'm going to tell you my story, I want you to know really who I am and how filthy I was and the things that I did from a place of pain and hurt. We do a lot of things that we're not proud of. Yes, I have a master's degree, and yes, I have a license to practice mental health, but I've done a lot of damage. And part of that is towards my kids, because I was very reactive. I was very aggressive with them. I never abused them the way my grandmother abused me, which I talk about it in the book. But certainly with my attitude and with when your kids flinch when they see you, that's a problem. That's a problem. But God is so merciful that he gave me the opportunity to be a parent again in my 40s. And my 10-year-old daughter has taught me what good parenting is and what feeling that mother-daughter love is like. And I'm in awe of that.
Will you call your book your confession book?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like it is. Like I'm a Catholic, so you go to a priest.
Yes.
And you go confess your sins. And maybe, I when you said this right now, maybe this is your way of confessing everything that you've been through.
It is. And
in the process, you're forgiving.
Definitely, I'm forgiving myself. I think many people, including my ex-husband, was very graceful and very forgiving towards me. But me forgiving myself was the hardest.
That's very hard to do.
And in order for me to be able to do that, I needed to understand, especially for women.
Hard for
because we hold each other accountable, right? It's like,
we can't make a mistake.
Yeah, you're getting a divorce. Yeah. What did you do?
What did you do? Right. It's our fault.
It's on us.
Our kids did something wrong. It's our fault.
It is. And so self-forgiveness was something that did not come easy for me. And so writing the book was a process, and it's something that I use now in therapy when I'm helping people resolve trauma. You have to draw the blueprint, and that's what I help people do. It's like, let's develop this blueprint. What does healing look like for you? Let's find out, how did we get here? And then what road, because to get to Orlando, you can take different roads. You can take Turnpike or you can take I-95 or you can even take 441. But one is going to be more expensive. One is going to be slower. And the other one might get you there when you get there, right?
Right.
So depending on your circumstances and the resources that you have, that's how you choose what road you're going to take. And that's okay. Even if it takes, 3 days, you get there because you chose the right place for you. It's not getting there in 4 hours. It's getting there.
It's getting there.
And if you cannot afford the Turnpike, by all means, take I-95. It's okay.
But the point is getting there.
But understanding that it's your choice to heal. Nobody's going to come and heal you.
And recognize it.
Recognize it.
Because like we talked before, it takes courage to recognize and listen to what you've done wrong.
Yes.
And what's been done wrong to you.
Correct.
And bringing out to someone and be that vulnerable, say, well, this happened to me.
Yes.
So it's very hard. And especially, again, we go back, it's very hard for us women, but even harder for, I feel like, Latin women, that we have to keep everything under control and have this picture perfect life, family, job.
Which we know is not sustainable. No life is perfect.
No, it's not.
And, yes, I understand that we want to protect our spouses, we want to protect our children, we want to protect the home, but it's a big burden for us to carry. I think vulnerability is the beginning of healing. And when we are able to be vulnerable with ourselves, our spouses, our children, and bring that humility, you don't owe anybody anything. You owe it to yourself to heal.
Amen.
Every single day. It's such a liberating experience.
Before we go, I want to read a part of your book that I really enjoyed. Helping others became a sweeter ritual, a way to pour my own overflowing gratitude onto others, transforming my pain into purpose, my scars into strength.
Yeah. My scars look very different now. I look at them with love and compassion.
I really love that.
Thank you.
Really love that because I think our scars are our strength.
Absolutely.
If Jesus Christ had thousands of scars, and that was his strength, and he gave us all forgiveness.
That's powerful.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful.
And what you have done has been very powerful.
Thank you.
It's a movement that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Not only in the United States, it's nationwide, worldwide. This young lady goes all the way to Santo Domingo, Panama, and talks about domestic violence and gets everybody talking about it and saying it's not okay. So what you have done and what you are doing,
thank you,
is world changing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an honor.
Likewise.
I only wish you more success.
Thank you.
Like I told you, that wedding dress, and I'm going to say it today. I wanted it to be in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., because that's what she's done. She's made a wedding dress a fashion symbol that will change women's life every day.
Thank you.
To talk and to make a difference, not for only themselves, but for everybody else. To say not to be afraid. You're going to be okay. Like you say at the end in your book, that little girl's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so will you. So thank you so much for being here with me today, everybody. I want to thank the community newspaper for this wonderful podcast. I really enjoy it. Like I end all my shows, keep dreaming the big dream. Dreams do come true.
They do.
They do come true. And keep hope alive, because without hope, we cannot make any of our dreams come true. So keep fighting that good fight. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.